There was this old wooden table in the back of the bar. Beat up, paint peeling off the edges. Every Friday night, the same guys would sit there with the same drinks, the same stories, the same laughs. One of those nights, one of them points right at Rafael and says loud enough for the whole place to hear, "That guy's gonna die broke." Just like his old man. Everybody cracked up. Rafael didn't say a word. He just finished his drink, counted out his money coin by coin, laid it on the table, and walked out. But those words, they didn't leave with him. They stuck, hit hard in a spot he'd already doubted himself about. These days, those same guys call him up. Not to laugh anymore, to ask what he did, how he did it, where he learned it all. And Rafael always picks up. Calm, no ego, no bragging, because he remembers exactly where he came from. And he hasn't forgotten the taste of that night. Rafael grew up in a house where the silence at the end of the month was the heaviest sound there was. It wasn't movie-style poverty, dramatic, loud, obvious. It was quiet poverty, the kind where the fridge sits empty and nobody mentions it. Where you flip your torn sneakers the other way for photos. Where your dad comes home and doesn't say anything because there's nothing left to say. He started working at 14. Grocery store, up before dawn, hauling boxes, making change in his head because there was no calculator. At 18, he tried college. Passed the entrance exam, but the tuition, double what he made in a month. He quit without telling a soul. Went back to the store. The owner gave him that look, the one that said he'd known all along Rafael would be back. That look hurt worse than anything. Not because the guy was mean, but because, right then, Rafael wondered if maybe the man was right. Maybe this really was the size of his life. Nobody talks about how exhausting it is to want more. It's not just the grind. It's carrying the weight of being the only one in your circle who believes things can change. Hearing every day that you're dreaming too big. That you need to be realistic. That other people are more qualified. Rafael bought a used finance book for $2. Read it 3 times because the first time he barely understood a thing. Showed it to a buddy. The friend laughed. "What, you're gonna be an economist now?" He put it away. Bought another one. $2 more. But some nights he'd open his notebook, stare at the blank page, and think, what if they're right? What if I'm just not cut out for this? He was 22, living in a rented room, sharing a bathroom with 3 other people, sending whatever was left to his mom every month, which wasn't much. One night, after a long shift and a dinner that was just bread, he closed the notebook and thought about quitting. Not life, just trying, just believing, just hurting over it. He stayed like that for a few weeks. No reading, no notes, no plans, and in that quiet, something shifted. It wasn't some big epiphany. No lightning from the sky. Just something small, almost silly. He was washing dishes and remembered his dad. Not the bar comment. His dad himself. Those hands. The way the man got up every day without complaint, for decades, to a life that never got any bigger. And Rafael felt something new, compassion. Not for his dad, for himself. Because he was only 22. He still had time to do it different. Rafael's turnaround wasn't some wild investment win. No inheritance. No lucky break. It started with a question. He'd been working at a construction supply store for almost a year. Simple job. Repetitive. The kind that numbs your brain if you let it. Load boxes. Stock shelves. Help customers. Repeat. But Rafael had this habit nobody asked for and nobody paid extra for. He watched. He noticed which items flew off the shelves. Which ones sat there for weeks. Which suppliers delivered late and which ones showed up on time. He didn't log it anywhere official, just jotted notes in a tiny notebook he kept in his apron pocket. Not because anyone told him to. Because his brain needed somewhere to put it all. The owner, Mr. Antonio, was a man of few words and long looks. The kind who watches more than he talks, and when he does speak, you listen because you know he won't repeat himself. 63 years old, 2 stores, healthy skepticism about anything that looked too easy. One Thursday afternoon, end of the day, store closing, Rafael sweeping the back aisle. Mr. Antonio appears in the doorway to the office and says, no preamble. Come in here a second. Rafael steps in. Small room. Desk buried in papers. Old swivel chair. Noisy fan in the corner. Mr. Antonio stands, like he always did when something mattered. You know how much I spend running this place every month. Rafael didn't, but his mind raced. Thought about the shipments coming in weekly. Number of employees. Average pay in the neighborhood. Utilities. Rent. Delivery truck twice a week. He threw out a number. Not exact, but close. Mr. Antonio crossed his arms. Gave him that hard-to-read look. How'd you get there? Rafael explained. Talked about what he'd seen. Inventory turnover. Busy days. That supplier who charged extra freight and how it hit the bottom line. Careful, no attitude, knowing he was on someone else's turf. Mr. Antonio didn't answer right away. Long silence. Then, simple, I pay you to haul boxes. But you're looking at the business. Rafael didn't know what to say. So he didn't. But from then on, things changed. Mr. Antonio started pulling him into real talks. Supplier negotiations. What happens when you sell a ton but keep nothing? The difference between revenue and profit, stuff most people think is the same but isn't. No fancy terms. Just plain talk from a guy who'd learned by screwing up. Made it more real than any book. He never paid Rafael extra for those chats. But he gave something Rafael came to value more than money, a window into how someone actually built something solid. Rafael soaked it up like he knew chances like that don't come around every day. That's when he flipped how he handled his own cash. Nothing flashy. Quiet shift. Stopped saving whatever was left at month's end. Started saving first, right when the paycheck hit, and lived on what remained. Sounds basic. It is. But most people never do it because it means giving up today's comfort for a safety you can't see yet. Rafael could see it, because Mr. Antonio had shown him, in that little office with the rattling fan, what happens when you don't. 6 months later, he had savings. Small, messy, but real. First time in his life. And for the first time in forever, the end of the month didn't hit like a punch to the chest. He just felt time moving. And him moving with it. Episode 5, The Growth. Let's be real, Rafael messed up. A lot. Gotta say that up front. Not because failure sounds cool. But because there's this fake version of success out there, shiny, scratch-free, that makes people think winners just got lucky or nailed it every time. That's one of the biggest lies going. Rafael screwed up bad, lost hard-earned money, trusted the wrong people, fell too hard for ideas with holes he didn't spot till it was too late. First big one came 18 months after that talk with Mr. Antonio. He'd built a decent cushion, the biggest ever, and a guy he knew was selling imported goods with killer margins. Seemed legit. Smooth talker. Numbers ready. Rafael did what homework he could and jumped in. 3 months later, the guy vanished. No drama. Just silence. Calls ignored. Texts dead. Money gone. That night Rafael stood on the sidewalk outside his place, staring at nothing. Didn't cry. Felt worse, like he'd proven exactly what those bar guys always said. Naive. Easy mark. Not built for this. Took 2 weeks to get up. Literally. Mechanical days at work. Food with no taste. Short nights because his brain wouldn't shut off. But one morning he opened the notebook. Wrote down what happened. Not to beat himself up. To understand. Where the analysis failed. What he ignored because he wanted to believe. Which red flags he'd seen and looked away from. Hurt like hell. But it was the most useful thing he'd done yet. Because right then he decided. He wasn't wasting the mistake. He'd turned it into rules. Next try was a partnership. Guy from a cheap weekend finance course. Same energy. Same drive. Idea sounded great over coffee. Started a small used equipment resale business. Split duties on paper. In reality, never worked that way. Not theft. Just two guys with different tempos, different risk levels, different priorities. When things got tight, those gaps grew bigger than the friendship. 4 months in, partnership over. Other guy kept the business. Rafael walked with less than he started with, and a lesson he'd never forget, a contract isn't distrust. It's clarity. Clarity up front saves destruction later. Wrote that down too. Third mistake was different. No partner. Just him and an idea he loved too much. Small delivery service in a neighborhood he knew cold, back when that model wasn't everywhere. Idea solid. Execution, not. Underestimated operating costs. Overestimated early demand. Burned savings faster than he built customers. Closed in 5 months. That one hit hardest. Not just the money, though it stung. But no one to blame but himself. His idea. His call. His failure. He went a month without trying anything new. Worked. Paid bills. Stayed quiet. In that quiet, he remembered something Mr. Antonio said once, offhand, business that crashes fast usually rides on excitement. Business that lasts rides on understanding. Rafael had excitement for days. What he lacked was deeper understanding, of markets, customers, how long things actually take to work. So he stopped chasing for a while. Started studying for real. Not college. Not expensive courses. He found people already doing what he wanted. Got close. Offered free help just to watch from the inside. Read more. Asked more. Learned patience with his own process for the first time. 5 years. That's how long it took for things to start clicking consistently. 5 years doesn't fit neatly in a story, no single, aha, moment where everything flipped. It was accumulation. Better months and worse ones. Decisions that worked because past mistakes taught him where not to step. Relationships that couldn't handle the constant change. Lost a long-term girlfriend, she wanted stability, he was still figuring out what that even meant for him. Lost friends, when your mindset shifts, not everyone wants to come along. Some drift away, no hard feelings. They just stay. But in those years, Rafael built something no mistake could take, an honest relationship with money. He got that most people burn energy pretending they have it, and that's exactly what keeps them from actually having it. That consistent patience beats any shortcut. That discipline isn't talent, it's repetition. Choosing the right thing every single day, even when no one's watching and you don't feel like it. And that's how it went. No fireworks, no movie montage, no one magic day when the colors changed. Just quiet stacking of better choices from a guy who'd paid full price to learn the traps. Until one day Rafael looked back, without meaning to, and saw the gap between start and now was bigger than he'd even realized. For the first time, he didn't feel like he had to run. He felt right where he was supposed to be. Right time, right pace, built by his own hands. Today Rafael's 41, doesn't look like someone who went through what he did. Not hiding it, just carrying it light, like he's digested every piece and doesn't have to fight it anymore. Still up early, not because he has to. Habit stuck, and he likes the morning quiet before the world gets loud. Coffee slow, reads a bit, jots whatever comes to mind. Notebooks bigger now, but the habit never left. The company he built, small compared to magazine cover empires, but solid in ways big ones rarely are. No unnecessary debt, no forced growth to impress anybody. Lean team, he knows every name, every story, what they carry outside work too. No helicopter, no yacht pics, no life that needs captions to make sense. Got a house he picked without rushing, quiet neighborhood, yard. Bought when he was ready, not when pride said go. Reliable car that doesn't prove a point. Savings that cover 2 years if everything tanks, and that's what he values most. Not the number. What it means, freedom to say no when he needs to. That freedom cost a lot. Took time. He knows it clearer than anyone who hasn't paid the price. But the quietest win money never bought outright. He sleeps easy, not small. For a kid who grew up where month-end felt like a threat, where adult silence measured crisis, where anxiety was the default weather, sleeping easy is deep change. Whole body saying it's safe. Made it somewhere. Took him a while to accept it without guilt. Weird to finally have what always lacked. Part of you waits for it to vanish. Stays watchful. Distrusts the calm. But time passed. Peace got familiar. Fear got farther away. Those bar guys. Most still meet up. Same bar. Probably same table. Same peeling paint. But talk's different now. Life moved on, and life doesn't forgive standing still waiting for it to fix itself. Some divorced. Some got laid off. One lost his health. Another his business. Not always from lack of effort. From lack of direction. Never really stopping to think what they were building or where it led. Last month one called Rafael. The same one who'd pointed and announced Rafael would die poor like his dad. Saturday morning. Rafael saw the name, stared a second before answering. Not grudge. Something trickier, mix of memory and compassion he was still figuring out. Picked up. Guy's family was in the red. Late bills, maxed cards, no clue where to start. Voice different, less loud, more weight. Asked for help. Rafael helped. Set a time. Sat down. Looked at the mess without judging. Showed what he saw. Explained step by step. First this, then that, then the next. No lecture. No sarcasm. No settling old scores. Because Rafael figured out long ago that laugh at the bar wasn't calculated cruelty. It was shared ignorance. People never taught better. Same system he came from, same limiting beliefs handed down generations, who never questioned what they got. Difference between him and them. Not brains. Sequence of choices. First one, refusing to accept his life size was set before he got a say. His mom still lives in the same small town. Different house now, one he bought carefully, picked with her. Yard with a fruit tree because she always wanted one but never said it out loud. He caught it in a passing comment years back. Never forgot. Fridge always full. Lights paid on time. Roof doesn't leak when it rains. She doesn't know the full roadmap of his journey. Knows he worked hard. Knows tough years. Doesn't know every stumble, every loss, every sleepless night staring at the ceiling. But she feels the result. And maybe feeling it is enough. Couple weeks ago she called for no reason. Regular afternoon. No holiday. No plans. Just to say she was good. House warm. Made orange cake. Turned out great. Rafael was in his office when the phone rang. Answered. Heard her voice. Went quiet a beat before replying. Not dramatic tears, but some moments hold a whole life in one simple call. Everything carried, lost, rebuilt, summed up in a calm voice on the other end saying she's okay. That, "I'm good," from her. Different weight, different breath, and, "I'm good," with nothing to hide. Rafael, who's noted everything since the apron pocket days, never wrote that moment down. Not because it didn't matter. Because some things stay better inside the chest. No need for validation, no explanation required, no one can take it. And right there, that ordinary afternoon, mom's voice in his ear, sun through the office window, Rafael knew he'd arrived. Not some final stop, but a place he'd chosen to build himself. And in the end, that's all he'd ever really wanted.